Hello everybody, this is Snarist, and welcome back to the continuation of my Ultra Age Hard Difficulty Guide, and this is part 2, Time Travel. So you read the title right, we now have time travel powers, and I'll get into that in a moment. So throughout the game you're going to find all these different crystals, and they contain different things. You've got white crystals that have steel blades, and you've got all these other different colored crystals that have different types of blades in them as well, or at least a restock. You'll never run out of any blade of any kind. As long as you just pick them up as you go, you'll never have a shortage of blades. It's not a problem at all. But that light blue crystal I picked up contains 100 energy points, and you can get back, at this current point in time, about half your health from a half or mostly full sort of diagonal meter in the bottom. So in the bottom left you can see that. Now here's the other thing about time travel. I don't often use this mechanic because I find it to be kind of pointless, but you can switch from day to night cycles. And it affects different enemies that pop up in the game. It also affects how the game looks. And crystals that needed 12 hours to reappear, well, they'll reappear, but there are some crystals that require 24 hours to reappear, so you need to go through it twice. But those ones are only for really like small upgrades, and they're not really all that useful. So these things are dropper wells. Dropper wells are like these sort of tiger things, and they're very nasty. Now, it's not until about 1 or 2 parts down from now that I found there's actually a really clever way to deal with the dropper wells. But then you've got a much bigger variant of them that are basically like bosses, or like mini bosses, and that exploit doesn't work on them. So after you've time traveled, don't forget to come back this way so you can get yourself a bit more steel blade and you get yourself a fresh pot of energy. And you're just going to wander through the jungle here, and I'll shout out all the different blades you get and all the different powers you could find and everything like that. And I've got a lot to talk about with the skills in this game, because there's a particular way I have of upgrading age and how this all works out, and I think it'll work out for you too. So just trust me on this. That crystal you saw before was a module crystal, and you could find upgrades to like your HP, your damage and all that. And when you find power gears, which are these sort of like circular, spherical, mechanical parts, these things there, one of the upgrades you can do is to increase the number of sockets you have, meaning as you go further throughout the game, other stats you can manipulate, you can change. I find it doesn't matter too much. The only things that really matter are HP and damage. That's really all that matters. So here's what I mean. These are the parts. You can get different upgrades into different parts. I would avoid the Y tap altogether, and I would put everything into gloves for the first part, because when you unlock critical rage not too far from now, critical rage is going to be very useful. The more often you can use it, the more it's basically like a get out jail free card. And if you get fully upgraded, then you can basically recover health on every hit you do while in rage, and your rage lasts for a very long time. I'm not spending any of my crystals though. Keep in mind, this is hard difficulty. If you get killed, whatever crystals you're holding, you'll lose 50% of them. So if you're holding a lot of crystals and you die, you'll lose 50% of them. Now thankfully there are plenty of instances, especially throughout the later parts of the game, where you can go back and revisit areas and you can grind them back up again, and it's very easy. So I'm not going to finish the game with all of my different blades and abilities upgraded, but you absolutely could if you wanted to. I will get most of them, like 99% of them, but yeah. So these are the dropper wells. With this, because they jump around so much and attack so frequently, make sure you're good with your dodging, but I'd recommend with the blades just using like 2 light attacks and then a heavy attack to kind of close the distance. And it's another thing too, because when you change your blades from one to the next, it'll do different attacks. So you just picked up a katana, and the katana is effective against the dropper well and organic beings. So you'll see their name and their health come up. Their name will be highlighted in gold, and that's how you know this weapon is effective against them. Whereas the steel blade is kind of okay at everything, the katana is specifically strong against organic beings, but when it comes to robotic beings, it's very weak. So all the guns have different, all the swords have different effects on all that. And when you switch to the katana from the steel blade, it'll do like a charging attack forward, but if you switch to the steel blade, it'll do a launch attack. Now here's another thing too. See what I'm doing right now? When your blades get low enough in their durability, it'll glow orange in that diagonal. when it does, if you go up to an enemy and you hit L2, you'll do a mega combo that breaks the blade and does a crazy amount of damage against the enemies. And this is another thing too, that these enemies are too weak for me to discover and show you, but each enemy has like a no, it's actually only the organic beings. The organic beings, like the Dropper Owl or these like little chicken things that you'll find in the next act of the game, they have like a stagger meter, and if you empty that stagger meter and they've still got health left, you can push circle or B or whatever it is, your console or platform you're playing on, and you can instantly execute them because you do so much more damage. So just keep that in mind. You'll see it, but it'll be really tough to see it because there's so many flashing lights and the camera can be pretty awful at times. But yeah, the Katana is great against the Dropper Owl because you can see that their names are now highlighted in gold and the stagger bar goes down really fast, and there was the big prompt right there, but I decided to ignore it because they were basically dead already, and I'm going to go ahead and use it. So yeah, you couldn't really see it properly, could you? But yeah, pick up these blue things when you kill enemies. They'll either contain a blade or two of a certain kind, depending on what you've unlocked, or they'll just give you more crystals. And in the beginning, you're not going to have a lot of crystals. By the way, these things here, there's a couple of these that are on hide to reach places with the wiretap. Keep an eye out for that. And if you have trouble landing on the platform below, just swing a sword a couple of times to kind of glide over to the air. And that was when I first discovered it. See, when you jump up in the air with the katana, and see, because when you're in the air, if you want to switch to the katana, or you already have the katana and you want to do it again, then you'll do a slash towards the ground that will be like a sweeping attack. And unless the Dropper Owl is like a mini boss or a proper boss, then every Dropper Owl will get stunned for a couple of seconds and you can just go ahead and just lay into them. And it saved me so much stress. I'm so glad I've only just discovered it. This is the first time I discovered it out of all the times I played this game, and I could not be happier. I couldn't believe what I was watching, but otherwise, yeah, square, square, and triangle, or X, X, and Y, depending on what you're on, my recommended combo for Katana. But if you can manage it, do 4 light attacks and then a heavy attack, because you get so much done out of it. So when you see those crystal modules, or module crystals, and they change your stats, only look for the ones that take a current stat you've got and improve it with a green number. Because if they have a red number, that means you're going to pick up a worse one. Don't fall for that. Just leave it alone if it hasn't got like a green plus effect to it. And something else I want to say as well, just a cool little detail. Every sword you use, when you're done with a certain attack, if you just do nothing and you stay still, Age will do like a little animation with it just to add a bit of flair to it. It's really well done. I'm quite impressed. And I see all these indie games and all that, and just, you know, even if they don't really reach great heights or anything, just, it's so cool seeing them brought to life. And I know it takes so much work, especially if you're like a solo developer, but, you know, just to think, even if it was just something that only lasted an hour, how cool it would be to actually make your own game. Like, I think it'd be sick. And while I know people have a thing against AI, I still think having those tools there will give you the basic prompts and, you know, give you all that you need to begin with. So this here is supposed to be a critical rage tutorial where you activate it and just lay into these drones, but I want to save it. Now keep an eye on your energy. If you've got nearly full diagonal energy gauge right there, you know, down there at the energy, the bottom, and the bottom left, you can see that I've almost got full energy. If you can, wait till you're full or close to full and just use some energy if you need to get some of your health back, because some of these enemies can take you by surprise and they can really wear down your health. You really got to be careful. And that's especially because, as I mentioned before, there's a particular way I'm going to go about upgrading my skills that might leave you a bit confused at first, but once you start to see the results and what happens, then you'll start to, you know, it'll all start to make sense. So this is a heavy armor droid automaton thing, and it works exactly the same as it did back in the first part, but now I've activated critical rage. So you're not invincible, you can still get hit like normal, it's just that your attacks do so much more damage. And I'm going to break the blade on him and finish him off, and pick up all my things and then move on to the next checkpoint. And it'll be the first checkpoint you come across with your time travel ability, so I'm going to use it there as well, but this is also a good chance for me to talk a little bit more about the crystals and how I use them, just for a little bit of overview. because when you get here, you're going to unlock another ability, and the ability is the left diagonal button, where it creates a radius, a circle, where it picks up any of the blue crystals or the blade pickups that you have around you, and the more you upgrade it, the wider it gets. But here's the other catch. The more you upgrade it, the more crystals you'll get on every pickup. And it's not like one of those measly 5 or 10% increases, it's like a ridiculously high increase. But you need to get it up there pretty high first. So I'm going to ignore any attributes for my blades. I'm going to put the power gears into upgrading the gloves, so my rage is a lot better. And I'm going to put everything into the item pool, because not only does it pull items in a bit further away, but it also increases the value of the items. Keep in mind as well that it's probably important that you spend your crystals, if you're worried about using them, before you go into a big battle, because you might lose half those crystals.